Welcome back. This is By the Book, and we're your married relationship coaches. I'm Seth.
I'm Sil.
And today we're talking about Love is Blind, Season 4, Episodes 1 through 8. Moving on to talk about Marshall, Jacquelina, and a little bit of Josh. We'll throw in there. So, this is like your classic compatibility talk, I think, that I want to have about them. Obviously, I mean, they're both young. They're both 26, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And I didn't have a lot of hope for them, or I don't have a lot of hope for anybody that's that young on any type of show like this, because I just don't feel like they have the relationship maturity to make something work, especially something that's like complicated, like meeting somebody and already being engaged to them.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard. It's going to be hard for anybody and to be that young and try to navigate that level of a relationship maturely. It's tough. So I didn't have high hopes for them. I think they're objectively a cute couple.
Yeah.
But obviously some of the challenges that we're seeing here is that Marshall is not her type.
Yeah.
I think it boils down to that in its most simplistic form. Now, he's a nice guy. He's doing nice things. He's putting effort in. He's affirming her. She seems very emotionally unstable.
Say that again.
It's, you know, I couldn't understand. If you guys understood this better, there are things when we watch these shows, sometimes we're binge watching, and there are things that either or both of us miss a little bit. Yeah. So if you guys understood like what her breakdown was in terms of like her family, I probably missed a little bit of detail. So please jump in the comments and explain if you have a better explanation, because for me, it seemed like it came out of left field. And I'm like, why is she having this absolute emotional breakdown about her family and how tough it is? And she's got to go back and she's got a lot of responsibilities. And I don't know the details to any of that to know why it was so heartbreaking for her.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, I felt like in that moment, Marshall dealt with it really well. But even if we take it back to the pods, I think that we kind of heard it was a foreshadowing almost that he wasn't going to be her type. She talked a little bit about the type of guys that she went for before, right? Did you say she said they had neck tattoos? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that she said.
Okay.
You know, she's looking for someone kind of tall, athletic, tattoos. To me, it was like, I want someone that's a little bit more street, somebody with some edge to them. Now, obviously that's her type, and she was on the show, so her type wasn't working out for her. But making the understanding and the transition to my type is not working for me, and so I need to move on to something a little bit more beneficial, a little bit more healthier, a little bit more long term, and actually putting that into practice. Those are some different things that a person had to contend with.
It is, and my husband and I talk about that a lot, because as watching these types of shows, you just see a lot of people end up matched up with somebody who's not their typical type. And I don't think that it's easy, and I don't expect people to be able to step comfortably completely outside of their type. I think that's quite a challenge when it comes to just like chemistry, and that might be something that's missing with them, although I feel like she's doing a good job of sort of muddling through the chemistry. You know, it's not a situation where they look like Irina and Zach. Yeah. You know, she's not repulsed by him. You know, she's able to interact and be affectionate and, you know, make it seem, at least on the surface, like they're okay. Yeah. Nonetheless, I feel like she's suppressing a lot of things and not saying them because he's putting a lot of effort in, which she does appreciate. But as we just saw, as we were watching, you know, one of the last 2 episodes of this, you know, at some point he felt like his manhood was challenged by her. You know, she said he needed to boss up. She wanted him to be more aggressive, particularly more aggressive in the physical realm. And he couldn't process that well. Because why? He's a nice guy. He feels like he's done everything that he's supposed to do. And after all, especially if you're somebody who's used to these bad guys and aren't treating you well, you should appreciate me. And it gets a little bit obnoxious. And because she chipped at his ego a little bit, he lashed out at her. He said exactly what he shouldn't have said, which was, "I saw you as a project."
Yes.
That was, I stopped the show. I was like, nope, we got to talk about this right now. You can't call somebody a project, which, I mean, she obviously was offended by it. He tried to walk it back, but you don't get to unsay things that you said. She's never going to forget that you said that about her.
True.
And that's what you were thinking. So.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think a lot of times couples should not have discussions when tempers are high and emotions are flowing the way that they were between those two. Sometimes you just need to take a breather and say, give me just a second to calm down, because like you said, when those words come out of your mouth, it's not like you can just reel them back in. No, they've been heard, they've been processed, and a lot of times they've been internalized. And so that was unfortunate. You know, fortunate that he said it, unfortunate that she heard it. And going back to what you were saying before, yeah, I feel that she's emotionally unstable. And you asked me, were they compatible? And I would say no one who is emotionally unstable is compatible for anyone. Because unfortunately, what you're going to get is someone trying to, on the opposite end, try to be therapeutic for them. And not many people, there's hardly anyone that can step into those shoes in a relationship and be therapeutic to that degree for someone who is emotionally unstable.
Yeah.
More than likely, one or both of those people are going to end up really, really hurt, and it's going to be a toxic relationship. And we see that unfolding with these two. It's quickly unraveling, and it's turning into a toxic relationship to the point to where they're hurting each other. Yes, she's saying things to him like, you need to boss up, and that's affecting his self-esteem and his security for himself. And so we see that playing out. And of course, she's already emotionally unstable. And so he's saying things to her that is hurting her self-esteem and making her even just that much more unstable. And so it's a toxic relationship. And we see it unfolding, unfortunately, for both of them. And I would say at this particular point, stop it. Don't even go to this altar together. Stop.
They're going to go to the altar together. Yeah. I don't know if they're going to say yes or no, but I wasn't thinking in terms of her emotional instability when I was asking you about their compatibility. I was more so thinking about just him not being her type and how she can navigate that situation, or if she wants to.
Yeah.
And for me, it was seeming like she wanted to, although I don't fully understand her respect level for him. For instance, if you guys will remember while they were at the group vacation, she referred to him as her dumb ASS.
Yeah.
And I was like, is that supposed to be some sort of term of endearment that I don't know? Like, am I aged out to the point where I don't know? Because it seems so mean and offensive, and he was close. So I don't know if he heard it, or that's like something that he just accepts, or if she just was being blatantly disrespectful to him. Second, and this is something that you brought up, when Brett came into the, I don't know if they were just having like a nighttime, like an evening party,
like
or
a poolside party.
Yeah, she acknowledged that he was fine.
Yeah,
you know, and my husband took offense to that. I didn't even look at it like that. I was just like, oh, it's just like, you know, how we as women would be like, okay, you know, about another woman and acknowledge, you know, that she's attractive, or we could do the same for a man. I figured she would have done that for the women or the men, and it wasn't like a like I'm sexually attracted to him type of thing. It was just like, hey, I'm acknowledging this is a good looking guy. But my husband said particularly those words were disrespectful.
Yeah.
So I'll take him at that. If it feels disrespectful to a man, we as women should take heed and understand, that may be a way that they look at things. So
yeah, I mean, well, Marshall didn't say anything.
He did though. He said what? He turned to look her squarely in her face.
He did. I forgot that. But if it was me, I would have had a few more things to say.
And then no, he didn't have the confidence to say more things. If you remember, she was like, she repeated it. She was like, I said he's fine, and he was like, I told you. That's what he said. So it was like he had prepared her for him to be attracted. I don't know. Yeah. But, he didn't make a big deal out of it. So I guess that's another reason I did not really make a big deal out of it. But that's not to say that he didn't feel like it was disrespectful. Yeah. But that he just sucked it up. Yeah. Because it wasn't anything that he could do about it.
Yeah. I mean, giving compliments for same sex, different sex, opposite sex rather, I can get that. But when it gets to the point to where there is some type of, it sounds like intent or emotion behind what you're saying, like, one of them type numbers, like, no, it's more than you expressing that this person is decent looking versus someone who's not decent looking. It takes on a whole new perspective for me. And so it's just like when it gets to the point to where there is a lot of intent behind what you're saying, or it feels like there's a lot of intent behind what you're saying, then and you're supposed to be with someone else, to me, that's disrespectful. So put things in order. And I'm a big order person. Put things in order. And I don't want to be disrespected, just like I should not want to disrespect anyone else, especially the person who I'm with.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's that. Does that show that she's got some level of disrespect for him or disinterest? I don't know. Other than that, they seem like they were bonding very well until that blow up about her having told him to boss up. Yeah. That seemed to really set them in a bad space and trigger what I think was some already predetermined insecurities. Now, we talked about some of the insecurities that he may have had from being in the pods, and her kind of saying what her type was, him probably readily identifying that he wasn't it, and then also there being that secondary challenge of Josh being there. Josh is weird for me. I don't know what to say about him. I don't know why she would give him the time of day. I think he has like some head trauma. That was the first thing I thought, because he was behaving weirdly. Yeah. And then I saw his ears and they looked like cauliflowered up, like he gets into fights, or he's like in the fighting world. That was my immediate knee-jerk reaction. And then I was like, oh, okay, he has like CTE. Like, he's got brain trauma. And this is why he's acting so strange. So that's how I passed it off. Now, take us to when they got together, the big group, and he's there. Josh is there with them, interacting with Marshall. And it was so uncomfortable to watch. He's like, very in his personal space, holding on to him, tugging him, wrapping him up about the body. And I don't know what he was trying to do. I don't know if that was like an intimidation technique. I mean, to me, he's obviously like a fighter. So he probably has no level of fear from Marshall, who seems like the opposite of a fighter. So he can probably easily intimidate him that way, I suppose. He's like, he's not, what are you going to do? Kick my butt. So I don't know if it was that, or if he was just extremely drunk, or if it's the injuries to his brain. I don't know.
Well, I don't know if it's the brain damage or not. I can't speak on that. What it looked like, to me, it did look like he was drunk or on some other type of substance. So it looked like that kind of came into play. I think it was twofold when he was interacting with Marshall. I think it was at one to show him his dominance over him, and then at two also to say, obviously you good, right? And so trying to disarm him in the same regard, let him know that you can't handle what I'm about to put out. To me, that's the way I kind of like grasped it.
Yeah.
And then when he went and sat down with Jackie, when he went down to sit down with Jackie, he shot his shot,
Yeah.
And
I thought she was deflecting. Then we saw the previews.
Yeah.
So I didn't think she would be interested in him, even though he seems a little more alpha, I guess, if you will. It's like a weird kind of alpha, not necessarily an appealing one. And I didn't think she would go for it. She seemed like she was kind of rejecting. And I'm surprised and disappointed to see that she met up with him again.
Yeah.
But if it's not him, I still feel like with her dynamic that she has with Marshall, she's a cheap risk. Because and she even said so. She's afraid that she'll get back home and go back to what she's familiar with. She wants these guys that are different. That's what her chemistry links with. She likes Marshall. She thinks he's a nice guy. He kind of caters to her, etc. But he doesn't give her that aggression. He doesn't give her that edge that she's looking for. That draws her in a maybe sexually type, chemistry.
But Josh does.
I don't know. I can't peg him. He's not exactly what I would think her type is, to be honest. He's very off-putting. He's more off-putting than what's his name?
Zach?
Yes. Far more off-putting than Zach, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I just don't see why anybody would meet up with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I would have been surprised if he got escorted out of that place, because that's how weird he was behaving.
Very.
Like he had been overserved. But again, I feel like Jackie is destined to have a roving eye when it comes to Marshall. She's already made it clear very early on that he's not meeting her expectation, maybe sexually at all, but at least in that sexual chemistry department.
Yeah, so, she definitely wants him to be more dominant. You and I have discussed time and time again about masculine energy versus feminine energy, and how that plays out with individual relationships. And when a woman is looking for a man to be a little bit more dominant in regards to leadership, lead us into sex, lead us into prosperity, lead us into getting home, lead us, versus someone who is more gentle at spirit. And can a woman sometimes be like, all right, well, this is not who he is, but I love him anyway, and we're going to move forward. I don't think every woman has that type of capability
I agree.
To do that.
And it depends on the extreme that you're dealing with. I think that masculinity kind of exists on a spectrum, where you got this far end caveman type masculine guy, and then you've got, the wholly effeminate guy, if you will, and where does Marshall fall on this spectrum? It's probably somewhere in here, not all the way on the end, but definitely not over here. And for her, she's been used to people who are all the way on the toxic side of that spectrum. So she's trying to find somebody that fits somewhere around here. Yeah. That is nice to her, but that gives her that edge that she's looking for, that makes her feel like maybe protected, maybe, I don't know. I mean, you guys can, put your theories out there, but it's something that comes from that guy who's more alpha, who has more of an edge that a lot of women desire. And I think she's missing that from him. Yeah. And I think that overly nice guys like Marshall, it kind of flies over their head just a little bit, where they're thinking, dude, I'm doing everything right. Like, look at me. I cater to you. I give you affection. I affirm you. I'm cooking you breakfast. You ain't even waiting for me to eat it. Like, you know, like, what else can I do? I'm a good guy.
Yeah.
And, you know, as a woman, as a nice woman, you know, a woman who's not trying to be mean to him, we're like, I know, but there's just something missing. Like, you are all those things. And this is what I feel her conundrum that she's in. She agrees with that whole sentiment. Like, you are all those things, but I just need you to scoot over just a little bit to this more masculine edge, and we will be golden.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's not me.
Yeah.
So I guess my last question for you is, how much movement can he do along that spectrum? How much will be comfortable for him? Because you don't want to change a person entirely.
Yeah.
But, you know, if they're going to make their situation work, I think that it's going to require one of them to come to where the other person is. Yeah. And if she's not able to do it, is he able to do it?
Whew, wow. That is the $1,000 question, isn't it? Because both or at least one of them do need to move if they're going to try to like make this thing to make this thing work. And so it may be a little bit more incumbent on him to change his approach, I believe, a little bit, and try to show her his leadership skills, and to give off more of that, what we were just saying, that masculine vibe to her. Be more decisive and about your approach. Be more intentional about your approach, and let that begin to show her that, you know, I am masculine. I'm in her, maybe the way she's viewing it, I'm more man than what you probably were giving me credit for, you know, and let that begin to talk for you and speak, you know, for you. And because she already knows that you're a nice guy, you're going to make her breakfast and
that's exactly
give the gourmet type thing. And so show her this other side, that you can be decisive, you know, and if someone approaches, she's protected with you. If someone approaches, guess what? You're not going to disrespect my wife. You're not going to disrespect this person who I'm with. And guess what? I think he probably is blowing it, for one, like when they had the mixer and Josh, you know, sat down. First of all, before he sat down with her, Marshall was showing his insecurity by making her wear his jacket, you know, and make her cover up. He's showing his insecurity right there. So that's not speaking masculinity. That's just showing controlling vibes. And so then when Josh sits down with her, he doesn't go over and like, hey, what y'all talking about? I'm not showing insecurity, but I am going to show you that, first of all, I'm not intimidated by you, Josh.
Right.
You know, and my responsibility is always to this woman who you're sitting across to, and I want to make sure she's okay. Are you all right, babe? Yeah. Or is this a discussion that all of us need to have? Because, you know, I don't know. Are you shooting your shot? You know, because obviously he was. Yeah. And you let Josh know, I'm not afraid of you.
And you're not going to disrespect me and shoot your shot in the same venue that we're all in.
Exactly.
Like, that's not okay.
No, it's not. No, we don't need to talk about this later. We can talk about it right now. What is this about, Josh? So, I
don't know. It's tough. I feel like that incompatibility, especially for people that age, is going to be hard to overcome. I think ultimately she will be dissatisfied and he will be hurt, because he will feel like he poured everything he had, all of his character, all of his good qualities into her, and that they were not appreciated. And kind of like you said yesterday when we were talking about this, it's going to turn him into like a jackwagon afterward. You know, like he's going to have this bad experience.
Yes.
And then he's going to be bitter towards women. He's not going to be any more masculine, but he's going to be mean. Yeah. And, you know, maybe a womanizer even.
Womanizer, we see it with the manosphere. By which you're like, man, you listen to these guys talk, and they talk about masculinity, about a man being a man, but behind all of that you like, man, this dude don't really even like women.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's because they've probably some of them have gone through situations like Marshall was going through.
Yeah.
To where they being overly nice and then the woman don't appreciate it or don't like him for it, you know, as much as he think that she probably should.
Right.
And so your next relationship, oh, okay, this is what women are on and this is what they don't like. Oh, I can be the opposite way.
They are, but they're missing the mark still. They're still not like stepping into that alpha. Mm-hmm. They're just being, you know,
jack wagons.
And now you're not even a nice guy. Yeah. Now you don't have any qualities.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, let us know what you think about Jackie and Marshall, and if she's going to give Josh a chance. I hope not. He certainly is no better than Marshall. I can't say I'm the most huge Marshall fan, but Marshall over Josh all day.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think Marshall's intentions are a lot more pure than what Josh's is.
For sure.
So I think his character is a lot more appealing. When I say a decent guy, I think Marshall is that. And and Josh, I don't know what he's on. I mean, please swipe. Let's swipe right on by that guy.
All right, guys, drop those comments below. Like, share, and subscribe. We will talk to you soon.
Bye.